All right, y'all. So I am back with another topic of conversation, one that is needed amongst the collective, but also one that is becoming, in my opinion, bordering the line of trauma response within its own right, right? Um, so there's been a lot of talk of it's 9 o'clock. So nine is if you study numerology, you know, nine is the number of completion, cycles ending, karmic loops, you know, karmic contracts ending, um, the releasing and removal of karmic partners um, and whatnot. And zero being new beginnings, right? Transition. This is another transitional moment. Um, And honestly, I'm not even trying to be funny, but that is just so perfect that it came at this time. Because I'm not going to lie to y'all, I started recording and then I went on a tangent about something else. So I deleted that and started recording again. 111 on the clock, okay? And one is the number of self, but also 111 in numerology and angel messaging is pay attention to your thoughts because they are manifesting what you want to bring into your reality at a rapid pace, right? So, my thing, and also that goes along with this message too, so it's perfect. Yay. Thank you, Spirit. Um, I'm not even trying to be funny. I love alignment moments. I love in your face alignment moments in real time. So, the reason why these numbers go with this message is because so I'm a very observant person, right? I observe myself, I observe people. Like, people watching is a thing to do. And maybe it's, you know, I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But people watching, myself watching, I ain't gonna lie, I got into a space in my journey where I have been seriously micromanaging myself and spiritually monitoring myself. And so that was something that came to my awareness. And I was just like, okay, I gotta cut that shit out because it's no fun. No bueno. No good. No fun. I gotta cut it out because I am not living. Okay. And um, even with that, it's all in its own right. I understand where it's coming from. You know, I'm fully aware of where it's coming from, but I wasn't aware that I was actually doing it. Um, but back to the topic at hand, and that is about celibacy versus abstinence versus this whole thing becoming like a its own trauma response in a sense, or when the underlying root of it for some of us has become just the fear of being intimate with another person, right? And this can be from many different things. It could be, you know, you have a fear of being hurt again. You have a fear of giving your body away to somebody again or sharing that intimate space with somebody again. You have a problem, or you have a fear of creating a soul tie that possibly you won't be able to do a cord cutting for, you know, or if you're deep, deep, deep into spirituality, you know, maybe it's you have a fear of connecting with the wrong soul in this life, and then that soul being somebody that becomes a karmic soul that you have to deal with in the next life. You know, hey, it can be a plethora of things and reasons why we fear intimacy. It can even all boil down to the fact of those of us who are becoming awakened, you know, on our journey, and those of us who are called to be the ambassadors or the cycle breakers within our lineage, like our ancestors showing forth things that they're still dealing with from their time, you know, or things that was going on in our lineages, like maybe sexual assault, you know, um, having a shame and a guilt of, you know, someone taking or, you know, taking your innocence without your approval, or, you know, putting you in a space to where, you know, you ended up having children and you maybe didn't want to have children, right? But now you had children because a certain person took your innocence and you didn't want that to happen. Shit got swept under the rug, so you just never felt like you were heard, and you just made an unconscious vow to never become intimate with another person. Maybe you're fed up, with, it just seems like every time I get intimate with somebody, they end up turning out to be my worst fucking enemy, or they end up turning out to be somebody that I wouldn't even look at twice if I really was able to understand or know them just upon looking at them. And on the side of that fear of intimacy, some of us, um, first of all, abstinence and celibacy and a trauma response from the outside, they can look the same, right? But they are all coming from very different spaces. So I named like the fear of intimacy versus in aka the trauma response, right? And so on the celibacy side, celibacy is something that you do intentionally, right? It's a conscious choice to refrain. We often take a break of celibacy or an oath of celibacy for clarity, for healing, um, for spiritual alignment purposes, to retain our sexual energy, for us to be able to focus that energy and put it towards creative endeavors or creative goals. Kind of just to get rid of distractions, things of that matter. And then from the abstinence side, right? Abstinence is a decision, right? And it can be temporary, it can be situational, or it can be based on a personal value or timing, right? So some of us, we a make the decision to be abstinent. We say, oh, I'm going to be abstinent until I get married, or you know I'm going to be abstinent until the right person comes into my life, because I've made so many decisions that and had situations with men or with women that weren't didn't pan out to hold me in the highest light, or that ended up hurting me and and being a contributor to me having these walls that I'm now having to work overtime to dismantle. And it seems like every time I dismantle one wall, then another wall shows up that I have to dismantle, that counteracts with the other wall that I just broke down. And it's just a revolving door and cycle. And we're just like, okay, I'm just so fed up with it. So now I'm just choosing to be abstinent, right? I'm choosing to just refrain from sex altogether. Um, and I feel like in certain situations, these things are basically just boiling down to fear of intimacy, right? Um, and from protection from being hurt by anything, and feeling like if we get hurt one more time, if we lose ourselves one more time, if we don't have the power within us one more time, if we get defeated one more time, right? And so it's like I feel my most powerful when I withhold, or when I don't do this, or I make the decision to do this, then I feel so powerful, right? And y'all can drop in the comments, leave a comment, you know, um, if you agree, if you disagree, because I'm always open to hear other people's perspectives. I'm just giving you my perspective based off of my own journey with these things, right? So first I took after the my third baby's dad, right? After my third baby's dad, I was just like, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm done. No more. I'm going rogue. Okay, I'm going celibate, right? And at that time when I did that, I felt like that was what was needed, right? Because I needed to get me right. I needed to figure out why the fuck you keep entertaining and going through all of this shit with these men. Like, what is it about you that keeps attracting these type of men to where it's slowly breaking you down every time one of them turns out to be not that guy. You slowly lose more parts of yourself, more essence of yourself. And what is it about you? What are they trying to show you? And so it was like, I made that intentional choice to be celibate at that time because I was like, I got to figure out what's going on. I got to figure out what wound is triggering this. I got to figure out where this is coming from. Is this just a me thing or is this a generational thing? I've got to remove my body, remove um, the urge to be intimate. And I've got to go sit down and learn how to be intimate with myself first and figure out why I feel like I just need to be intimate you know, with these men, and they all turn out to be the same spirit in different bodies, right? Some just coming, each time they just come a little bit more polished, right? And a little bit more put together, right? So I took that celibacy, oath intentionally for clarity, for healing, and for spiritual alignment. And then from that point, once I had figured it out, is that I was attracting these men because this was something generationally that had to be cleared out. It was a karmic pattern and a karmic cycle that needed to be cleared out on behalf of generation after generation after generation, right? And after I figured that out, it was like, okay, boom. So then it was like, okay, I'm moving from being celibate. I'm going to be abstinent, right? So I made a decision, okay, that, okay, I'm not going to have any more schmecks or be intimate with another man until I meet the man for me. Because I'm just not in the space of just being around men or entertaining men. But I realized with that, guys, is and gals, is that, ooh, that was so guys and gals. Okay, anyways. But I realized with that, the truth behind me making that decision, it wasn't so much that I just was like, I'm going to wait for the one to come. It was that. But underneath it all, it was the trauma response, or like the fear of being intimate with another person, right? And possibly ending up pregnant and being a single baby mama again, right? So that was a fear. And then the other fear was the fear of creating a soul tie with someone that I will possibly have to come back and deal with in the next life. If they couldn't get it right in this life, they damn sure not going to get it right in the next life, right? Especially if it was from somebody, and if you're deeply into your spirituality, you understand what I'm saying when I say this. Especially if it was somebody that's been with you time after time. It's been a karmic partner. Time after time after time, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and reincarnation after reincarnation after reincarnation, you guys somehow found yourselves back together, right? And each time this motherfucker ain't get it right. So for me, it was like, I don't even got the time to be wasting to even have to go through that type of shit again, right? So I was like, I'm going to keep myself to myself. No matter how much my heart wants to be intimate, I'm going to logically refrain from it, right? I'm going to tell my body that we don't need it. We don't need intimacy, right? We don't need to feel loved, right? Because we can love ourselves, right? And honestly, that is true. We can love ourselves. But I mean, come on, let's be honest. We're all grown here. Sometimes you get a little tingle between them legs and you be wanting to go ahead and hit that reverse cowboy on something, right? So I think as far as my journey goes, like, I am learning that my choice, my choice of being intentional when I was celibate was beautifully executed, right? My choice and decision of being abstinent was beautifully executed, right? But those things turned me into someone who just was afraid of being intimate again. I didn't want to have to break down another wall in my heart. I'm trying to get all the walls that are in my heart broken down so I could be my super duper best self in this life, so I can see life what it really would be like when the gateway of heaven on earth is fully open and accessible, you know? And it just became like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on my life. I'm gonna focus on my kids. I'm gonna focus on this. I'm gonna focus on everything else but love. And I'll just love myself. And that is a beautiful thing. And I'm proud of myself for getting to that point where I'm just like, okay, fuck you. I'll love myself. But at the end of the day, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And a part of having, or a part of being a human is we need physical contact. We need intimacy. We need connection with one another. And so for me, it's just like, I had to remove myself from becoming a stereotype. You know what I'm saying? Like, 1 minute she's celibate, 1 minute she's abstinent, 1 minute, what is it? Like, what are you going to be? And it's just like today I'm just like, I'm going to be who I need to be and who I want to be and who God called me to be. And I'm going to not give my power away to something that may not even ever happen to me again, because I'm not in that space anymore where I was needing to make the decision to be celibate or needing to make the decision to be abstinent. I'm no longer in that space. You know, I've grown and I evolved so much. I know now, with the wisdom that I have gained from every experience that I had, that put a wall up and that helped to build a wall in my heart, you know, there was a lot of wisdom and growth that came from that, where it's like, I can trust myself now. You know, I know to how to move intentionally. I know how to listen to my spirit when my spirit says, that nigga's not for you, don't you fuck around and find out. Or when my spirit says, you shouldn't entertain, don't even entertain that man, he's not, like, all he want to do is waste your time, right? And then I also listen to when my spirit says, hey, you know, open up, loosen up a little bit, he's actually a pretty chill guy, you know. You might not have met him under the circumstances where you thought everything was supposed to be peaches and roses, but honestly, he's a really chill, cool guy. Somebody that you can open up and have a conversation with, share a little bit of intimacy, even if it doesn't go, you know, past a conversation, even if it doesn't go past a first date, even if it doesn't go past anything but the moment that you're sharing with him. Open yourself up so you can see that that's truly the way God made you to be, you know. And also, you know, all these things religiously too. It's like, on one hand, I do agree with the fact that, you know, we should be out here having schmecks responsibly, right? We should be educated in it. We should be educated in what to do, what not to do. We should be educated in the partners that we're dealing with. We should be educated in everything. Like, this is a whole lesson, you know, that I feel is critical. The more generations pass by, this lesson, it needs to be taught. It needs to be executed. It needs to be shown. It needs to be ingrained within us, you know. So on one hand, I do agree with the fact that we should be waiting until we meet someone who is equally yoked with us for us to be out here just doing this. Or we should be educated thoroughly on this so we can make sound decisions that won't put us in situations where we have so many single mothers, where we have so many people just out here just fucking around. Nobody's moving with intention. Nobody's moving in purpose. Everybody out here just moving in the spirit of lust. Oh, I'm numbing out, you know? How do I numb out? Okay, I'm going to go and bust a nut real quick. And it's just like, no. Our bodies are sacred, especially women. Your body is very sacred. So do I think or advocate for us being out here just wilding out and letting our busting it wide open for anybody. No, I do not. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Did I have my time? I've had my time. I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I've also gained wisdom from that time. I've gained growth and elevation from that time. I've learned very vital lessons from that time, and I've gotten to a space to where I refuse to entertain what is not aligned with me, right? I have self control now to where if I'm not down for it and I don't want to do it, I'm not fucking doing it. And you can't make me fucking do it, right? But if I want to swing that thing open, I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do because I'm grown, right? I'm just tired of walking around in fear. It feels like it feels like a new level of fear is unlocked. The more deep diving you do into yourself and the decisions and choices you make, it creates a fear. And the whole purpose of you taking a deep dive into yourself is not to create more fear. It's actually to free you from that fear. But a lot of us can attest to the fact that deep diving within ourselves and seeing replaying the choices and decisions that we made and seeing how badly or how emotionally it affected us and had a stronghold on us and how it created walls within us and blocked us off and stuff. Like, we trying to do everything in our power to not have to be intimate with somebody else. We're trying to do everything in our power to not have to open up to anybody else in this world. And honestly, that is fear. When it all boils down to it, the root of it is that we are moving in fear because we don't want to be hurt again. We don't want to make the wrong decision again. We don't want to offend God or our ancestors. We don't want to create more karmic cycles and continue a karmic loop or pattern that has been going on for ages and centuries and generation after generation, right? So we try to move in a space. It ends up putting us in a space to where we feel like we got to move perfectly, right? And perfection, what I have learned, is one of the ultimate thieves of joy. It's no fun. Trying to be perfect is absolutely no fun. So now we've gone from trying to be perfect in this area of our life. So now we're trying to be perfect in how intimacy is carried out, right? So we're micromanaging every intimate encounter we have. We're being, what is it? Super, oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now, but it was just at the tip of my head. Okay, if it comes back to me, I'll repeat it. But we're being like we're being extremely self-aware to where we can't even enjoy this life anymore because now everything that we have seen is becoming a trend, or it's becoming a trauma response that is becoming collectively a thing, and I just want to say to y'all, to those of you who are celibate and choosing to be celibate and you're doing it intentionally and from a conscious place, kudos to you. But just don't let it turn into fear. Okay? Just don't let it get to a place to where you just now, every time a man comes across your page, you're like, oh no, I plead the blood of Jesus on you. Like, and I know I said that the way I said it because a lot of, I'm just gonna say it, a lot of Bible thumpers, they be out there, oh no, Jesus wouldn't want that. And literally, anyways, that's another video for another time. Um, but honestly, I'm pretty cool with Jesus myself. And you know how Kanye say Jesus walks with me? Yeah, Jesus walks with me. Okay, that's one of my guides. So I'm pretty, like I'm pretty tight with Jesus. I'm still growing and I'm still evolving, and I just give gratitude for um, all the grace and patience of all my spiritual team. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, y'all, back to the topic. I say all of that to say you can't heal one fear and then find another layer, a 2.0 way to have that fear still be intact but covered and disguised in another way. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying to that is, for those who want it in simple terms, an example of that is, you can't say I'm going to be celibate, right? And the only reason why you truly want to be celibacy is your disguise, because the truth of it all is that you're just afraid of being hurt, right? You're just afraid of being or looking imperfect in God's eyes, right? Or you're just afraid of being judged. Oh, she still ain't got it together. She still ain't no. She still don't know how to pick them. She's still choosing the wrong man. She still, and that's the same with abstinence, right? So um my challenge to you all is to truly, for those of you who are celibate, for those of you who are abstinent, I truly would love for y'all to sit down and figure out your why. Why did you choose to go those routes? And really be honest with yourself, because you're never really going to get to know who you are and access your true truth if you can't be honest with yourself. Because honestly, there's a spiritual law too that says you attract what you are. So literally, if you are emotionally unavailable, guess what you attract? You attract emotionally unavailable people to you. If you are someone who fears intimacy, guess what you attract? You're going to attract people who fear intimacy. So it's going to only further give you evidence and give your nervous system evidence as to why, and validate your nervous system as to why you took that direction in the first place, right? But in the true truth of all that is that you were actually afraid. So, but your nervous system doesn't know that you were actually afraid of intimacy, right? Your nervous system just saw it as, you made a choice. You told me this choice. I'm going to stick with this choice because this choice made you feel good inside, right? When you made this choice, it made you feel good. So now I'm going to find evidence as to why this is the choice that you need to keep making and present it to you until you show me another route that you would like to take. So for me, I kept showing my nervous system that I didn't want intimacy. I was afraid. I was afraid to love. I was afraid of getting my heart broke. I was afraid of choosing wrong. I was like, I made all these fucking mistakes with these men, and I ended up a single mother of 3 kids. And you know what I'm saying? And I just, time after time, kept getting my heart broke. And I kept getting back up and moving towards love. And I just can't find love. It's always ends up breaking me in some sort of way, or I lose myself in it. So I don't want to lose myself in it again, and I don't want to lose my power, and I don't want to give my power away to anybody else in this world, and I don't want to feel defeated or powerless to anybody else in this world. So I'm just going to stay to myself, and I'm just going to wait for the one, right? I'm just going to wait for the one to come across my way, right? And it was just all fear talk. I needed the celibacy because I needed the clarity. I needed the healing, and I needed the spiritual alignment. I needed to see that the reason why I was attracting these men was because I was that what I was attracting. I was attracting emotionally unavailable men because I was an emotionally unavailable woman. I was attracting men who didn't love themselves, didn't care about themselves, because I didn't love or care about my damn self. I was attracting men who were irresponsible when it came to their body because I was irresponsible when it came to my own body. And honestly, that might be a tough pill for some of y'all to swallow. That might be a phase that might trigger some of y'all, because you're going to have to face that. You're going to have to tell yourself the truth for once in your life. You can't keep blaming everybody else, right? So those are just some examples as to why I went the direction that I went. But I didn't figure that out until I really was able to sit down and just really sit in silence and solitude. Like that is my go-to. Silence and solitude is my go-to because it helps me to really sit and hear myself, really sit and listen to myself, you know. Um, and it's such a beautiful thing to know have that revelation to where I had gotten to a place in my journey after those things and me growing and healing and stuff to where I was like, you know what, now I want to be loved. Now I know what type of man I'm looking for. Now I know what type of man that I want to attract. You know what I'm saying? It's 9:30. 9 plus 3 is 12. You know, 1 is self. 2 is balance, pertains to balance, relationships, you know. So now I'm just like, I don't want to, now I know that I don't have to lose myself and I could still be loved by a man who loves himself. You know what I'm saying? I can still be in an intimate relationship with someone and not lose myself. I can honor and set boundaries and have standards for the type of man that I want to attract. And I could attract that person by becoming that which I am seeking, right? And it's not an easy pill. It takes some work that you got to put in, you know? But honestly, with anything in this life, if you really want it, and it's going to take work, if you really want it, you'll really get it, right? Just like when you were unhealed and unaware and unconscious. When you really wanted to get to that man's house to go lay up in his bed, you did what you had to do to make sure that that happened, right? So it's the same with, but without the man. It's you taking that time to do that for you, right? So that you can become the woman that is wanting the man who will not hurt her again. So you can become the woman who attracts the man who is emotionally available, who is attentive, right? Who will protect, provide, and nourish, right? Who will know what he wants, say what he means, and mean what he says, and show it consistently, right? Etc., 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 right? And it's not an easy thing, you know, because there's a lot of us on this planet who are awakening and we're healing, and some of us are having a hard time of facing ourselves, you know, and it's unfortunate because those of us who are having a hard time facing ourselves, some of us that are having a hard time facing ourselves and coming to our own truth in order to be able to move past them to heal and become the new versions of who we need to be for us first and foremost, right? And then attracting in the people who are supposed to surround us in this life, right? We're having a hard time holding that space for ourselves. And those of us who are givers, it's so easy for us to give and hold that space for other people. But it is hard for us to do that for ourselves. So give yourself grace. I mean, the journey is not easy. And it was never told to us that it would be easy, right? It was never told to us that it would be easy. But damn it, I am on this journey. I have gone through for the last 7, 8 years. I've been on this journey my whole life, honestly, since I was a foster child. But for the last 7, 8 years of this journey, y'all, there have it has been crucial. It has been crucial, and not and I had to go through a solar return while on this part of the journey too. So, man, okay. So I'm not here to gaslight. I'm not here to tell you pretty things. I'm not here to tell you beautiful lies. I'm not here to tell you things that'll make you, you know, feel validated to stay in your right. I'm not telling you things, and I am not condoning going out here just giving your body away to anything or anyone, right? I'm not condoning that at all. But what I am saying is figure out why you choose to be celibate. Make sure you're not doing it from a space of fear. Figure out why you're choosing to be abstinent. Make sure you're not doing it from a space of fear. And if it actually has become a fear of intimacy and not you not wanting to be hurt again, you need to sit down and face yourself. You need to sit down and figure out where it came from. How far deep does this shit really go? You got to feel it to heal it. And that is not, and I know it might seem cliche, but baby, it is far from cliche. You got to feel this shit in order to be able to heal this shit. You got to face the demons in order to be able to slay them. You got to go into the unknown parts of yourself. You got to go down that rabbit hole within self in order to figure out why you keep attracting the same type of things that are causing you to move around in fear in the first place. But yeah, you know, if you're choosing these things from peace, alignment, self trust, cool. Do you, boo boo. But if you're choosing these things from fear, from pain, from unhealed wounds, from unhealed experiences, it's time to face yourself. It's time to feel that shit so it can be healed. And I am in no way judging y'all. I'm just trying to get y'all to a space to where you acknowledge this shit with compassion and grace for yourself. And then from there, you move from a space of awareness, which moves you to a space of being able to heal so that you can become, you know, so that you can move from a space of trying to avoid the impossible and the inevitable. Because believe it or not, some of us are meant to be in divine unions in this lifetime. And if we try to avoid it, we're trying to avoid the fear of intimacy, right? Which that's going to stall us from being able to come into divine unions, right? So honestly, it's time for y'all to get to a space where you figure out why you're making the choices that you're making. Where you get to a place where you completely understand yourself on a deeper level, not surface level, deeper level, below the surface. And it reminds me of the scene from The Matrix where Neo was sitting on the bench with the Oracle and he handed her, or she handed him a piece of candy and he said, "Oh no, I don't want that." Um, and she said, "I know." And he said, "Well, if you already knew I was going to say I didn't want it, why did you give it to me?" She said, "Because you're not here to figure out why. Um, you're not here to figure out why I knew. You're here to you're here to figure out why you made the choice that you made." And honestly, once I heard that and saw that scene in that movie, it just every time it surfaces for me, it just reminds me of this journey that I'm on. Why I chose to take this journey. Because I want to understand myself. I want to understand why I make the choices that I make in this life. Why I made the choices that I've already made in this life. And what made me want to make better choices in the first place. So, yeah, that's the end of this message, y'all. Leave a comment. Tell me what y'all think. But other than that, take what resonates, leave the rest. And this your girl, Staisha, signing out. Toodles.